Hello and welcome to Newsline Weekend. AIDS is rarely out of the headlines, and the past week has been no exception. There's the controversy, of course, about HIV carriers passing the disease on, and a continuing disagreement about treatment. There are worries amongst dissident AIDS groups in Europe about the use of the drug AZT. Critics say its acute side effects have led many AIDS sufferers to stop using it. There are suggestions, too, that there's no actual link between the HIV virus and AIDS itself. These theories, it must be said, are discounted by conventional AIDS doctors who say that claims that there's no connection between HIV and the disease and that treatment with AZT should stop is dangerous nonsense. But here's Joan Shenton's report on the groups who question orthodox views on the disease.
Needle Park, here in the centre of Zurich, is closed today. It used to be famous as a meeting place for a deadly activity. Drug addicts, many of them very young, used to buy and sell drugs here and inject themselves to feed their addiction. The park's been cleared by the police, but addicts always find new haunts. Switzerland has the highest incidence of AIDS per head of population in Europe. Nearly 40% of people with AIDS here are injecting drug users, and another 40% are homosexual or bisexual, a group that includes a high proportion of recreational drug use, like marijuana, inhalants called poppers, and amphetamines. Until now, the international medical establishment has declared HIV, a retrovirus, as the cause of AIDS, and concentrated on preventing the spread of HIV infection by encouraging the use of condoms and issuing clean needles to drug addicts. But is this enough? Could one of the key factors in AIDS be the toxic effect of drugs that's causing a breakdown in the immune system, allowing lurking infections to invade an undefended body? A view held by California's Professor Peter Duisberg. Could, as he maintains, HIV be just a passenger virus and irrelevant? More and more pressure groups are springing up across Europe, challenging the received views about AIDS. Many members, like Iris Reuteler, who was an injecting drug user for 10 years, have been diagnosed as HIV positive, which in terms of current medical orthodoxy carries with it a death sentence.
The people with HIV hadn't enough direct information, so I become angry. I had to go out to show me, to prove at the other people, all the positive people, it's possible to live with the virus and that I don't die about AIDS.
Another leading AIDS dissident in Switzerland is journalist Roger Müller. HIV positive for 5 years, he's suffering from a type of skin lesion called Kaposi's sarcoma that can spread internally.
I believe the HIV/AIDS hypothesis. And I was despaired because I saw there was no chance for me. And the fact that I wanted to write was, before all, that I wanted to tell people HIV does not necessarily make this illness. And this means that probably you have some possibilities in challenging the illness.
Do you think that drugs play a role in AIDS?
Yes, I very strongly think so, because I know not only drug-dependent people, but also a part of the homosexuals and bisexuals use quite a lot of drugs. I myself have used poppers. Poppers could be the reason for my Kaposi's sarcoma, but we don't know.
Roger believes he's been helped by a special diet and has refused orthodox drug treatments like AZT.
I feel angry about the stubbornness of the AIDS scientists who refuse absolutely to take in consideration other reasons for this illness. Everybody speaks about prevention, and nobody speaks about it, that this prevention really could turn out to be completely useless.
Burns, Switzerland's capital is the home of AIDS worker Michael Baumgartner. When he was working as an AIDS counselor in San Francisco General Hospital, he was so moved by the terror that follows an HIV-positive diagnosis that he vowed to set up a project in Switzerland to help young people.
Often doctors put this kind of death sentence upon them that you're going to die because you have HIV, it's going to turn into AIDS and you're going to die of this. And I think that's absolutely wrong. I don't think that's what medical establishment is there for. The Lighthouse Project is about giving psychosocial support to people affected by a life-threatening situation such as AIDS. Psychosocial support in terms of counseling and crisis intervention, and also giving information on different kinds of therapy.
Did Michael feel there's a reluctance to examine the serious health risks involving some gay men who have highly active sex lives combined at times with drug taking?
As a gay man, I feel that there is a need of talking about our behavior and being able to separate that from our way of being. A lot of gay men are not able to do that, and I feel very sorry for them because I think that's very important.
Up in the hills behind Bern lives retired Professor of Immunology Alfred Hessig, who for 37 years was head of Switzerland's Red Cross blood transfusion service. Professor Hessig seriously questions HIV as the cause of AIDS.
I see the key in immunotoxicological problems, poisoning, because you see the disease remained over 10 years in risk groups. It didn't spread very much in the general public.
Can you explain a little more about what you mean by poisoning?
By poisoning, I mean that the immune system is damaged and can no longer fulfill its normal activity.
And why would this happen?
Oh, this is possible by many drugs, by poisons, by pollution. Let's take the homosexual, highly promiscuous homosexuals using poppers and such things, drugs, or the drug addicts itself. It's the drugs which count. It's not the clean needle and the dirty drug. That's not the way to do it.
And not the virus?
The virus is an opportunist, probably, as all the others, as Epstein-Barr virus, as cytomegalovirus, as herpes virus, waking up when the immune system is dampened and suppressed.
Beim offenen Kanal Berlin sitzen Sie vor der ersten Reihe.
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Ich begrüße Sie.
At the Berlin Open cable channel, AIDS dissidents Kavi Schneider and colleague Peter Schmidt are recording one of their regular programs challenging the HIV/AIDS hypothesis. This access channel reaches 700,000 Berlin households.
We are transmitting a real campaign about the criticism of the AIDS virus myth, as we call it. We found that the normal press doesn't really cover this issue. And so we made up our minds to say, we are really independent people. We can, without any censorship, do what we want in this station. And we transport to the public information that they never get anywhere else. We have had thousands of people calling over the last 2 years, as long as our campaign is happening.
One of the calls came from Gisela Lindner. Her 20-year-old daughter Annette was pregnant and HIV positive. She was under pressure to have an abortion.
Und da habe ich dann Herrn Kavi Schneider angerufen und somit das erste Mal mit einem
I called Kavi Schneider and spoke for the first time to someone who told me it wasn't at all the case that my daughter would have to die.
Das ist eben alles erfunden und
it was all a con to do with money and huge financial interests.
Was her daughter forced to have an abortion?
Sie war nicht erzwungen, aber sie war ja.
She wasn't forced, but she was devastated. Everyone who hears the words AIDS or HIV positive is completely shattered, and of course she immediately did what the doctor told her. She became depressed, wanted to commit suicide, locked herself in her room. She never went out and was totally depressed.
We tell people that what they call HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, is not really the cause of AIDS. So the AIDS virus is not the real AIDS virus. AIDS is caused by different factors, not this virus. And by the response from the people, we have seen how great the fear is that people have. They don't talk about it very often, but they have it. It's more or less suppressed. And when they see our programs, it comes up. And they are very excited and call and say, is this really true? Oh, this changes the world. Some people have told me, I see the world again with different eyes.
The library of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine is where AIDS counsellor Cass Mann comes to do research for the self-help group Positively Healthy.
What we offer them is a complete data search. All you need to do is spend a day in the medical library, and what you get is the fact that there is so much confusion, so much challenge around what AIDS and HIV is, the epidemiology, the etiology. There are no definitive answers to this so-called epidemic. And the confusion doesn't filter down to the clinics, it doesn't filter down to the patients. What we do is present the data in a form accessible to lay people and say, look at the evidence, we don't know what is going on.
Cass advises HIV-positive members to come off recreational drugs, to eat well, avoid stress, adopt an expectation to live, and also to avoid AZT drug therapy. What is the reaction to the AZT advice?
The reaction has been, demonstrably has been, the fact that many clinicians will refuse to work with this type of patient because they're saying you're rejecting the best medical advice we can offer you, as a result of which you must be suicidal, you're probably incipient dementia, and we will not work with you. So what we find our people have to do is to find a doctor who will support their treatment options.
My blood has been stored for a period of time, and because of this I know that I became HIV positive 10 years ago. About 5 years ago, my immune system did not seem to be functioning properly, and at that time I was offered AZT. I declined to take it because I know from my contacts in America that the drug was very toxic, and there was a lot of dissent at the time about taking the drug. Friends of mine who were in the same situation at that time decided to take AZT, and they're all dead now. My immune system seems to have recovered quite well on its own. I'm very well now. People often say to me they think it's very dangerous to challenge HIV theory. My answer to that, as someone who's lived with HIV for 10 years now, is that I have seen no benefits accrue whatsoever from HIV theory. After 10 years and billions of dollars, no one can still explain to me how this virus causes AIDS, and most of my friends are now dead. I think it's very dangerous for people with AIDS and the whole establishment itself not to challenge HIV theory. We need some answers. We need to look at other possible causes for this disease.
Resistance to those who question the HIV/AIDS theory is fierce. Science editor Neville Hodgkinson has for several weeks in the Sunday Times reflected the arguments of Peter Duesberg and others who challenge the current AIDS orthodoxy.
The reaction has been quite puzzling, extraordinary really in many respects. I think perhaps the aspect that has astonished me most has been from other journalists, from medical and science writers who have been sweeping in their criticisms. They've called it irresponsible, they've called it ill-researched, they've suggested that we've simply taken what Duesberg said and reported it without thinking about it. All this kind of thing. They've said it's an old story. I've been astounded by this because I don't think there's ever been a story that I've been given the opportunity to put so much work in on, and in which we've so challenged the way that conventional scientists are thinking and arguing about something. Having worked as a medical journalist myself for many years, I think that maybe you sort of start to identify with doctors and think that it's somehow irresponsible to say something that doctors don't say, and therefore you go along with it. But that's bad science, and there are times when you really must have a closer look at what is being stated to the public.
Are there interests involved, do you think, that stop an open questioning of the issue?
What some of the AIDS dissidents have called the marketing of HIV has played a big part as well. It's very big business, hundreds of millions of pounds, and in fact billions. of dollars, huge expenditure in the States, all centred on the HIV. It's an industry. And Duisberg and the others who are supporting his line of argument is threatening to bring a whole industry tumbling down.
Billions of pounds and dollars of AIDS funding is locked into HIV research. What direction does Professor Hessig think the scientific community should now take?
I think the research has to go first to reduce the risk factors, the immune suppressive, immunotoxic aspects within these risk groups. That's one thing. And the other thing is immunorestitution, mainly nutritional immunorestitution. And the third thing is go away from the saying everyone who has got the virus gets sick and he will die. That's mental immunosuppression which should be now really avoided.
Most people I find who died of AIDS had no expectation. They honestly thought they weren't supposed to live. They thought they weren't supposed to get better.
Joan Shenton reporting there.